share something with the people.
Yes. Okay, so before we get into our very important topic, I just want to share some love. Yes, we're called Reasonably Shady. We like to talk about shady stuff, but I also like to share the love we receive. So we received an email from Erica. Her subject is, "You never know how you're touching people." She said, "Hey ladies, first, love the podcast. Love it." Thank you, Erica. Next, I'm not emailing to share my embarrassing sex moments or what shallow reason I broke up with someone.
Oh man.
She said, "See, I'm a real listener. But what I'm emailing for is to say thank you. I've learned in my life that you never know how you're touching someone. I'm a 2-year breast cancer survivor, and I'm currently 25 short days away from my wedding, and I've had a health scare that could mean my cancer is back. I'm trusting God that He will make everything okay, but of course I'm scared. But in the midst of all of this, I'm sitting here laughing at or with the two of you. So in this moment, I stopped working to send this email to say thank you for taking my mind off of life right now.
Aww.
I also love the show. You guys are the only franchise I watch. I'm over the others. Potomac, keep them coming. Congrats on everything and God's blessings of health, love, increase, and prosperity to the Green-Eyed Bandits and your family. Best, Erica." And Erica, I want to say to you, thank you so much.
Yes.
That means so much to us. And I am praying for you and for your health. I wish you, many blessings in your marriage, and I pray that your health improves. And I hope our listeners can say a prayer for Erica as well.
Yes. Oh my God. And that's actually, because I was going through my DMs and I got called like a bitch about 4 times. So stuff like that,
Yes.
like nice notes just to let us know that we are helping you, touching you. I mean, that's why we do what we do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I can honestly say the negativity definitely is it's not easy, but it's but when we hear from people positive notes like that, while we're brightening up your day, you're also brightening up our day. So
100%.
Keep on coming. We love you.
Yes. Okay, so all right. Now, a lot of times we don't talk about, we laugh, we giggle, we do our thing, but we definitely wanted to get to, especially with the journey that Robyn has been on, we wanted to get into some mental health. So we put a question out to you guys about the misconceptions of mental health. And this episode is called Mind Your Mentals, okay? Mm-hmm. Mind Your Mentals. And because I'm not an expert, Robyn's not an expert, we did get an expert to come and chat with us today. And
yes, I'm going to introduce our guest, but just to talk about with the show, just me talking about how I was feeling during COVID or my seasonal depression. Honestly, I was floored by the response that I received from the viewers. Yeah. For people who said, "Thank you so much. You're verbalizing everything that I feel. Thank you for representing people like us. Thank you for making me feel human." And so I've realized how important it is to talk about these things.
What? Yes,
not just in your private home or in your, with your trusted confidant, but in a public setting, to make people know that people like us who are on TV, we're human as well.
Yep.
And just to make this forum and this topic a little bit bigger,
Yes.
so that people don't have to hesitate to talk about mental health.
And also to make it not feel so taboo. Mm-hmm. It's not a subject in which we can't talk about. We definitely need to talk about it.
Right.
And we need to normalize it a bit.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Please tell us who our guest is.
So I'm going to introduce our guest, and then we're going to take a short pause. Okay. So I just want to let you all know, Gizelle and I will now be sharing a microphone. We since we are bi-residential, which means sometimes we record at Gizelle's house and sometimes we're at my house. We forgot a piece of equipment, which would be called a third microphone for our guest. So once we introduce our guest, she's going to have one microphone, and then Gizelle and I will share one. So it might sound a little wonky, but we're human, so bear with us.
Yes.
All right. So Myrja Paul is the owner and clinical director of Soul Counseling and Consulting. Myrja received her Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from the Pennsylvania State University and her Master of Science degree in clinical community counseling from Johns Hopkins University. Okay, credentials.
Mm.
Myrja is a licensed clinical professional counselor and is an approved clinical supervisor by the Maryland Board of Professional Counselors and Therapists. In April 2020, Myrja opened Soul Counseling and Consulting, a group mental health practice that provides individual, family, and couples counseling. Myrja's mission is to decrease the stigma of mental health, particularly in communities of color.
Yeah.
Her vision for the practice is to create a safe and supportive place for clients to feel comfortable, heard, and understood. Myrja's goal is to help people feel empowered to live, not merely exist or settle. She chose the name Soul because the sun is a daily reminder that we too can rise again from the darkness, that we too can shine our own light. I love that. And before I let Myrja talk, I have to say something. Myrja is the sister of Carly, who is our director of operations. Okay?
Yes.
So you all have heard us talk about Carly. Carly is the one that kind of like handles our logistics. She's helping us set up. She forgot to bring the third microphone. Okay, I'm joking. And Carly's also like my very good friend. Like you've seen Carly on the show helping me out with a lot of my different ventures. But I just want to say this. I found it very comical. So I'm looking at our emails on our Reasonably Shady emails. And I see this email from our director of operations, Carly, to her sister, Myrja, that says, "Hello, Miss Paul. I am writing to confirm your appearance on the Reasonably Shady podcast at ... If you have any questions, please forward them to me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely, Carly, the director of operations." And I was like,
What? The freakle weekle?
I'm like, this girl is literally talking to her sister.
Yeah.
In a business manner. She takes her director of operations job very seriously.
As she should.
Okay.
As she should.
I was dying. Like, okay, if that was me and I was talking to my sister, I'd be like, "Hey girl, we're gonna see you on Friday at 4 o'clock. All right, peace." Like, what? Yes.
You gotta keep it professional at all times.
I mean, but were you like sister?
No, I was like, yes.
Oh, you were?
That's how you do. You got a job to do. Do your job and do it well. Absolutely.
Okay, so should we take the mic off and then like pass it back and forth?
I think we should just keep it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys. Thank you for bearing with us. Yeah. So I just thought that was so funny. Did you find that funny though, Myrja?
No, I found it very professional. I was very proud of her. Like, I'm a professional woman. Don't talk to me like I'm some regular chick off the street.
Oh,
I own business.
oh,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but I did want to say that Myrja's Soul counseling is spelled S-O-L,
Yes.
not soul, S-O-U-L. Also, I thought soul, I didn't know S-O-L was like the sun. I thought that was like soul, like soul. Like,
Oh, but isn't soul S-O-L? That's soul. That's sun in Spanish.
That's sun in Spanish. It's also like the root word of like a lot of words with sun, solstice,
oh yeah.
soleil in
Oh,
French.
yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, trying to go back to my French roots and
Yes.
Okay.
no one can say soleil. So I was just like, never mind.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
say
So you just keep making us think.
Yes. Okay, so getting into it. So with the misconceptions about mental health, a lot of people said that they feel like they're weak, right? When they go seek out counseling. They feel like they're quote crazy, like, you know, they don't want to feel like they have mental issues.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay.
So you asked what were my thoughts around people saying that it's for quote unquote crazy people or they appear weak.
Yeah.
So we get that a lot, right? And that's the whole thing about the stigma and how you were saying, Robyn, about like making it, you know, just more normalizing it, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, it was for quote unquote crazy people, right? It was for severe mental health issues. They would go to the, you know, psychiatric hospital and things like that. And I don't know if we've really changed from that. We're changing, you know, but it feels like, do you wait until like your arm is about to fall off before you go to the doctor? It's like, are you weak for going to your regular doctor for your regular checkups? No. So I feel like we take care of our body, we should also take care of our mind. So that idea about it being for weak people or just for crazy people, and you know, as a therapist, we don't like to use the word crazy. But no, I feel like there are a lot of different issues that people have, and don't wait until it's too late or you're super struggling with something before you go talk to somebody.
Okay, but I'm sorry, a lot of people use crazy. Right. That's what they said. Like, you know, I'm going to feel crazy. That's for crazy people. So what word should we be using? Because I don't feel comfortable using that word either.
Sure. Just say how you feel, right? So like, if you say I'm going to feel crazy for going, or do you feel like a crazy person? If you feel like a crazy person and that's your word to use, okay, but you can say, I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling really overwhelmed.
Okay, I like that.
I feel like I just got to get, like, what'd you say on the show, Robyn? Get my life together? Like,
yeah.
You just say how you feel. You don't have to just go to the word crazy. Just say how you're feeling.
I like that. Okay.
Right. So when would you say, like, is there a point when people should know, like, okay, I need to go talk to someone? Because I'll be honest with me, I consider myself to be a very thick-skinned person. I'm very like, okay, you know, life isn't perfect, you know, suck it up, move on. And I probably don't spend the time to kind of like really sit back and check in with myself. And so for, you know, people like me, or even other people who kind of just, you know, have this stigma in their mind about mental health, when do you say like, okay, I need to, now I need to go talk to someone, I need to check in?
Yeah, but it's just like whatever you're doing hasn't been working. So if whatever you're doing is not working, then you try something different. Sometimes it's therapy, sometimes it's something totally different. But if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been dealing with this for a long time and whatever I'm doing is not working, be open to trying something different. And therapy is not for everybody, but you could try it and see if that works for you. But the whole thing about thick skin and being weak is just like I said, I mean, if you're struggling with something, just try it out.
Okay, so that's good to know, but let's back all the way up. So let's say I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling overwhelmed, which is easy for me in my life because I have just a lot going on.
Yeah.
Would your recommendation be for me to first step seek therapy, or would you recommend, I don't know, I go to the gym, like I work out, I, you know, drink a glass of wine a night? Like what are your steps before therapy for somebody to think about or consider prior to going to therapy?
Sure. So here's the other thing too. When you talk to a therapist, they're going to suggest things like that too.
Okay.
Right? It's not all about this, it has to be so structured and so serious. It could just be, Gizelle, do you have a schedule? Are you writing notes? Are you going to sleep at the right time? Like sometimes the therapist is just suggesting normal things, like make sure you are going to the gym, make sure you are going to bed on time, make sure you are drinking your water every day, right? Okay. So if you're not at that place where you're like, okay, I'm feeling anxious, but I'm not quite ready, reach out to friends and family. Like that's what we do, right? We talk to our friends, we talk to our family. Social media, although it has, you know, its pros and cons, sometimes there's a lot of resources on social media as well, right?
Okay, listen, I'm sorry. Needle on the record. Okay, if we're gonna go to social media to feel better about ourselves,
pros and cons.
That is not gonna happen. Okay.
Well, resources, right? There are a lot of mental health, you know, Instagram pages.
Okay.
Right? So it's not just the shade room. It's not just shout out to the shade room, you know, for entertainment, but there are other pages that are about mental health and anxiety and motivational quotes and things like that. So again, you know, pros and cons, but there's some resources on there as well.
Okay.
Right. And I feel, you know, for some people who are maybe embarrassed to talk about their struggles, or they don't want to be judged by, you know, their family members or their, you know, friends or whatever for what they're thinking or they're feeling, I think the therapist is that great, you know, mutual party that's not biased. They don't know you. They've seen it all. They're professional. They know how to, you know, they're all about the privacy and the HIPAA laws and all that type of stuff.
Right.
So even for someone that's like, if there's just anything that you're dealing with in your life, whether it's just, you know, a disagreement with your sister or something, you know, a therapist is always that neutral party that you can talk to, that you don't have to worry about being judged.
Right.
Because that's what they do.
Right.
You know, and it's unfortunate because so many people live their lives and all they worry about is being judged.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's like they worry about what people think, and whether it's the way they look, their dress, their weight, you know, their job, their whatever, their relationships. Like all they care about is how they're being judged. And
right.
So I think a therapist is a neutral party that you don't have to worry about that.
There's something special about that. So some people are like, well, you're a stranger and I don't know you. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, you're a stranger and I don't know you.
Right.
Oh, which means you don't know me, which means I can say whatever I need to say and be okay about it. So there is that definite like, okay, you don't know all of my background. I'm telling you a little bit about myself. And you can kind of chime in from that outside perspective. Think about when a company needs, you know, just a shift or a change, they hire an outside consultant, right?
Right.
They don't talk to people who are necessarily in the company. They're like, let's go outside for someone who's like outside the box looking in.
Right.
So that's what a therapist does for you. It's a different perspective. It's someone that does not know you. And it's just like, okay, you're not going to see me at the club, you know?
Right.
Well, now it's pandemic, but
Right.
you know what I mean?
Oh, you're gonna see this therapist at the club, I can tell you. But it's not, I feel like a lot of people feel that it's scary,
Yeah.
right? Because they're really gonna sit down with somebody that's a professional, that knows what they're talking about, that knows when you lying, and can call you on your shit. And, you know, so that means that you have to have a level of vulnerability to even sign up for this.
You do. But in the very first conversation, I'm not going to sit here and ask you in the very first conversation your deepest, darkest secret. Like, there's a method to how we do things, right? It's like, let's get comfortable. Let's build some rapport. Let's get to know each other. And you'd be surprised, like, once you kind of let your guard down a little bit, the things that you say. I mean, I've had people say to me like, oh my God, I haven't told anybody this and I can't believe I'm telling you this. Or
Nice.
you sit down and you're just like, so what's going on? And it's like tears. And you're like, oh, you've been holding that in for a while. So yeah, of course it is about being vulnerable, but it is also for the therapist to kind of guide you and lead you and not start with, all right, tell me what's going on. Well, come on, why'd you do that? Let's ease into it. Let's get comfortable. Let's get to know each other.
Okay.
Then third session, fourth session, fifth session. Then it's like, all right, now I'm gonna call you out on your stuff.
Okay. So, I mean, it's so interesting. I'm looking through all the responses that we got, and they all are, or not all, but a lot of them, it's like the misconception or the things that they worry about is that there's something wrong with you or that you're crazy. It's so, like, I was just really looking through these. Is there something, would you say, what is like the most common reason someone comes to you or seeks a therapist?
Well, you know, now in 2021, anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? People who didn't have anxiety before, well, now it's COVID, and so we all kind of have a level of anxiety. Right? So that is, I think everybody has anxiety, even before COVID. I don't think we named it as anxiety. I think it was like, I get stressed out.
So and explain anxiety. Anxiety, because that comes in different forms.
Very different forms.
So is it like worry?
Could
Because
be
I worry a lot.
Sure. It could be worry. It could be worry about everything, or it could be worry about just something specific, right?
Okay.
It could be you have a need to control everything. And you're just like, oh, I'm just controlling, or I just like to know the plan. I like to know what's going on at all times. That could be a little bit of anxiety kind of creeping in, like, I need to know what's going on so I can get my mind right and then prepare for it. That's a little bit of anxiety there too, and that's not a bad word. I don't want people to say, oh, I have anxiety, and it's just like, now we're labeling you, you have this diagnosis, something's wrong with you. We're using the word because we're talking about mental health. But if you want to say stressed, if you want to say overwhelmed, fine.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to be like, it's a stigma, it's a label. But yeah, it comes in different forms.
Well, I was just asking because people need to be able to say to themselves when they are feeling whatever kind of way they're feeling, they need to be able to label it for themselves.
Right.
As opposed to just like wallowing in it or not knowing what direction to go to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
They need to understand what's going on with themselves.
Right.
That's why I was like, and anxiety is never really explained.
Yeah.
But you gave a good explanation.
Yeah, it's not always like a panic attack. Sometimes it is, right? But it's not always that, right? It's like I said, it can come out in different ways. It could be like I'm not sleeping well, I'm having bad dreams. There's a little like feeling in my chest or in my belly, and I'm not really sure where that comes from. Every time I'm about to go to work, I have this like pit in my stomach. So I like what you said about just kind of paying attention to that and seeing what that is, naming it, and then take it from there.
Yeah, right. I almost think you guys almost need to come up with an alternate word that's not therapy or mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like when you hear the word therapy, you think, okay, there's something wrong with me and I need to be rehabilitated.
Right.
Or mental health, the whole I'm crazy, I'm weak. So it's like, I wish what is another word that you all could like start using?
That's a good thing.
So that people would know, like, it's like almost like your check-in,
right.
I guess you start hearing the
accountability
partner type stuff.
Yeah.
But not so much that, but more of like a check-in type.
A check-in person.
Yeah, like what can that be? Because I think
call me on my shit person.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the word itself is what is misleading for people.
Sure.
Sure. So I don't know what those words could be, because like I think, like I said, just personally, I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm busy and I'm stressed,
but isn't everybody busy?
Right, ain't nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I think it's the actual word therapy that makes it sound like, there's something wrong with you versus, no, you just have a lot going on. You need to check in. You need a balance. Maybe like a balance coach.
A balance coach.
Balance.
Ooh.
I might take that.
Yes.
You might want to trademark that. I might take that.
Balance coach.
Love it.
That.
But that's good though, because that's what we do. We try to keep everything in balance for you, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, that's good.
I like
that.
Okay.
I like that.
Write that down.
Yep, you don't want to take that.
Write that down. I'll give you credit.
Yes.
I'll give you credit for that.
So, okay, we have just a couple more questions. Let's talk about how social media plays a role in our mental health.
We touched on it.
Yeah.
Gizelle kind of was. She got something to say.
We need to take a little bit deeper, because I think it got, yes, for people like Gizelle and I who are on a public platform, but I know that it affects the everyday person.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so like I was saying, pros and cons, right? Benefits of social media, community, right? Some sort of like online support.
Okay.
Motivational messages, inspiration, things like that. Think about during COVID, TikTok was our friend. Like during quarantine, like the internet stays undefeated, right? So like it provided comic relief in such a stressful time. It was nice to just go and see memes and do these TikTok challenges and things like that, right? So social media can be our friend. It can be nice. It can be a good thing.
Okay, but
my TikTok didn't get as many views as your TikTok.
Yes.
No,
I'm not
there you
worthy.
go. I took notes on. I'm glad you asked. I was thinking about this.
And then there's also the issue of you're literally just looking at filtered pictures of people, which can mess with your mind. Because you know what your body looks like in a real mirror with no filters.
Yes.
And then you're comparing yourself to these images that you've seen all day that are perfect, and that's not reality.
Right.
So like, how mentally are we able to handle that?
Well, I always say that too. Take a break. You don't have to be on social media all day. If you're on it and you're feeling like this is not feeding my soul, this is not making me happy, then take a break. Or you know what? Start unfollowing certain things. Yeah. Sometimes you follow pages and you're always cute for that moment, and then you're like, you know what? I don't want to hear about all this gossip. I don't want to hear about what's going on. Or even like when the police brutality stuff was happening. This is too much. Like you're allowed to say, this is too much. I can't deal with this right now, and I'm shutting this down, right? Or I also think it's okay to like see things on social media and realize that, you know what, maybe not today. So let's just say like Mother's Day or Father's Day post. What if you have a tumultuous relationship with your parent, or they're not here, right? So it's just like, on that Sunday, Mother's Day, don't do that to yourself. Like, pay attention to what you actually need. It's not you being a hater. It's not you like, oh, I don't want to hear about all these. No, just like, it's okay. Or if you're like, I don't know, if you're trying to conceive and you're having trouble conceiving and all you're seeing is all these baby posts, right? It's like, doesn't it happen that way where it's just like, how come all of a sudden
Everybody pregnant. Everybody's pregnant.
Right? COVID babies, right?
Yes.
But it's like, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm happy for you and I'm also sad for me. You can have two feelings at the same time.
So is it okay to just like straight up be selfish?
Yes, please.
And think about what you need as opposed to what everybody expects of you.
Yes, please be selfish. Selfish is not a bad word. It's not a curse word. It's not a bad word. And even when we're thinking about going to therapy, that is 1 hour, usually 1 hour to yourself, right?
Right.
Where you don't have to worry about, I'm monopolizing this conversation. I didn't ask how she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I talk to my friends all the time, and it can be like a 2 hour conversation because the first hour is catch me up on your stuff. Okay, is it my turn? Okay, now let's go. It's just like, sometimes you want to be like, girl,
Right.
let me tell you what happened. But your therapist there is like, it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
That's true. That's a great point because I feel like, you know, when you are like sometimes with a group of friends, you know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna listen. I don't want it to be about me.
Right.
And then everyone else is talking, and then it turns into like, well, you don't share nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but I'm like, but I'm listening.
You can't win.
You know,
You can't win.
you want me to listen? You want me to talk?
Right.
And then so I always feel like I'm a listener. Like I don't really, not that I don't share, but I recognize that other people maybe have the need to get something off their chest more than I do.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
but then there are times when it's like, well, damn, I didn't share anything. So
Is it my turn? Is it my turn?
right, yeah.
Exactly.
So that is true. It's like, you know, even if you have a great group of friends or support system, sometimes you can't get it all out to them.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough time, or because, you know, people cut you off or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. And then social media, like, what about the people who will like post a picture using like a fake background? Like they'll like pretend like they're like traveling
On a private
all the
jet.
time. Yes. Like, how do we get them to stop?
See,
your life.
that is a little beyond what I do for my work, but just acknowledging that too, right? Acknowledging that this, you know what social media is.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
come into it knowing this is entertainment, this is what it's for, and yes, the constantly comparing yourself and all that stuff. Just be mindful of like you said, it's filtered. People are only showing their best life, right? They're living their best life on social media.
Yes.
And just kind of keep that in mind, that no
Right.
one's going to share. Well, some people are, but most people don't share, I'm downtrodden, I'm going through. No, they're going to share the smiley face. They're going to share, you know, I'm here, I'm there, I'm jet setting. No,
Yes.
damn well, maybe like their credit card is maxed out because so
Right.
they can do this traveling.
They are
right?
broke. They
Right.
broke.
We don't know. We don't know what's behind the scenes,
Yes.
right?
Speaking of broke, your therapists, we have heard and we have found that are very expensive out here in these streets.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And you know, earlier in this conversation, you said that you're gonna get to know the people that you are counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not gonna get into their business until like, I don't know, session 4. And I didn't pay you for session 1, 2, and 3. So,
Right.
how, you know, for your everyday person that, you know, might not be able to afford you guys,
Right.
you know, what do you say to that?
So people sometimes don't realize that your insurance, most of your insurance companies pay for therapy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm so glad you brought this up because this is really a misconception. People are just like, so how does this work? And
Okay,
I'm like,
but give us a range of like an hour session.
all right, now everybody's different,
Right.
And somebody who's, you know, counseling a real housewife might charge something, you know,
Oh,
just
shucks.
kidding.
Okay.
Price gouging. But,
Price gouging.
people are different, right? Depends
Okay.
on your level of credentials,
Yes.
depends on where your market is. New York probably charges more than Alabama, right?
Get to it.
Just,
Get
you
to
know,
it. Give us the range.
So
Get
the
to it.
range, the range is, I would say 100 to up to 100 to 200 could be the range
Per session.
Per
Which is like an
session.
hour.
which is like an hour.
Okay.
Now, think about when you use health insurance. Whatever plan you have, it's a copay. Anytime you see a specialist, your insurance company pays, I don't know, 80%. You pay 20%. You come in, you pay your $10 copay. You don't know where the rest of it goes. Somebody's paying these people.
So are all of you all taking insurance?
Not all of us.
Okay.
So if you are, you know, feeling like, oh, this is steep, go through your insurance.
Okay.
Find somebody who accepts your insurance.
Oh, I did not know that.
Right.
I thought it was out of pocket.
You know, I would,
It can be, doesn't have to be.
right. And I would see that, you know, when I had jobs and they would send, you know, the packet of the health insurance stuff, and I would see that in there, but I just always felt like, I don't need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think honestly, if it's there and it's provided to you, and if you're someone like me who thinks you don't need therapy because you're fine, like, still take advantage of it.
But it should
why not?
normally be in your regular,
Right.
just you go to the dermatologist, you go to the chiropractor, whatever it is. Like you use your health insurance.
Yeah,
It's the same thing,
Right.
same process.
So how often? I mean, I guess it really varies based on
Mhm.
what's going on, but like, how frequently should people, just say for someone like, you know, like just people feeling anxiety, they're
Sure.
stressed. You know, how often do you think they should come to their
Most people
balance,
start their balance coach.
Yes.
Most people start once a week.
Okay.
That's kind of your typical 45 to 60 minutes once a week.
Okay.
That's kind of typical for most people. Sometimes though, it's like you said, it's just kind of like, I need to check in. I just need to just, you know, make sure that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know, every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I have clients now that are like on maintenance, so to speak,
Mhm.
and they started seeing me once a week, and then it was like, okay, every other, and it's like, you're doing pretty good, but you still kind of want me around just in case. Once a month. I had somebody call me the other day and be like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, are you doing okay? Everything's fine. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure, come on in.
Uh-huh.
If you want to chat, sure.
That's what I'm gonna start doing.
What?
I'm going once a month.
Oh, really?
I'll find somebody. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we just gonna talk.
Yeah, you might as well. You might learn something about yourself.
Yeah, and I have insurance.
Yeah.
So
Well, there you go.
my insurance is gonna cover it.
There
This
you
is great.
go.
Now,
Okay.
Where are you going? Now, what about like couples therapy?
Ooh, I'm so glad.
Okay,
you
can I?
said
Okay, before you
this.
answer that question, let me just say this.
Yes.
I've been in some major couples therapy, y'all. I'm just here to tell you. Years and years of couples therapy, me and that Jamal Bryant. Now listen, it always helped us.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, he is a I think he's trained per his profession to counsel,
Mhm.
right? So I always felt like we can't just have a regular conversation if we're having a problem because you know all the tricks. So we need to go to somebody else. And I was always just very happy because, you know, he's a black man and he was open to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it always did push us to like another level. So I'm an advocate of couples therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to say that.
Mm-hmm. And I'll just share my experience. While Juan and I were married, or even before we got married, he was like the typical black man that was like, I don't need anyone to tell me how to feel or what to think or what to do. And wait, hold on one second. My doorbell is faulty.
Oh, okay.
It like rings for no reason.
Sorry, Taylor.
So Juan would be like, you know, can't nobody tell me how to feel, and can't nobody tell me what to do, can't nobody, you know, they don't know what I'm thinking, and it's like, okay. So I think, you know, a lot of times in couples therapy, there's a resistance from one partner that just thinks like, this cannot help. They're like, I don't, like, what can they tell me that I don't already know?
Right. I'm glad you said that because no one's telling you how to feel.
Right.
Feel how you feel. I'm not telling you how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I might be exploring with you what's behind that feeling. Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Even just basic communication, right? You think you're speaking the same language, and it's just like, that's not what she said. Did you hear what she said? Oh, that's not what he said. So couples therapy is just like, can you guys please start coming before you're about to divorce?
Okay, so I
That's just
feel
my little
I
therapist plug.
totally agree with that, and I feel like if you're gonna get married,
Absolutely.
you should go before you get married.
Absolutely.
Because the whole time y'all been dating, y'all haven't been talking the same language. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all, it's always good to get like a third party or like a bird's eye view on the relationship.
I agree.
And I feel like if you don't do that work in the beginning, you're damn sure gonna have to do it in the end,
Yeah.
or it's just gonna be over.
I think you're forced to talk about certain topics, right? You could be
Yes.
dating somebody for 4 years. I know him. I met his mama. We went on vacation together. I know how he travels. We talk about everything. And it's just like, but there's that one thing that you're not really comfortable saying because it might rock the boat or whatever the case may be. You come to therapy, it's kind of like, the therapist might just bring it up and you're like, oh, I guess we gotta talk about it.
Right.
So I'm definitely an advocate for premarital.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like same thing when we're talking about, you know, when should people go to therapy? It's like, please don't come when you're at your wit's end and your bag is packed and you have one foot out the door and you're like, you know what? Before I can just check off this box to say I tried everything, fine, let's go to the therapist.
Okay.
So when do they go?
Yeah.
So when do they go?
You should go before you get married.
Okay.
Because I am a therapist, I'm like, just go when you don't even have a problem. Just go to check in and be like, we good? You still good?
That's good.
Everything good?
Mm-hmm.
You still like me? I still like you. Great. And then you move on, right? Not saying it has to be weekly, but if you're feeling like, you know when you can tell something's off, right? You're not connecting as much. Maybe the intimacy has been affected. You know, there's a lot of change that has happened. Like, you know when you feel a little bit off, right? Same thing like with your health. You're like, you know what? Something's just not right. So that's when I'm gonna call my doctor and see like what's going on. Like, I feel like, for example, I just went to the nutritionist. I'm like, something's not right. My blood sugar goes up and goes down. I have a headache. I don't like feeling like this anymore. I don't like having a headache every day. I don't know what it is, but maybe you can tell me what's going on.
Right.
I'm not gonna wait till I'm like, I can't get out the bed. I'm crawling to the car and be like, I gotta take myself to the doctor. It's like, no, like, you start feeling like something not right.
Right.
We need a little check-in.
Yeah.
We make sure this is still good so you can keep going and things don't just fester. Right. Like, how many couples do you know where it's just like, yeah, I've been dealing with this for years and I just didn't know how to say it.
Right.
Or I've said it and this person's not listening to me. It's just like, wow, I wonder if we had sat down and talked about this 5 years ago, could all of this been avoided?
Right. And clearly I'm sure the main issue that you see is like the root cause of problems between couples is communication.
Absolutely.
And so the therapist or the balance coach helps facilitate that communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's good. You know, I'll keep that in mind.
You know.
Oh, Robyn's going to therapy for mom. I'm just here to tell y'all before they walk down the aisle for the second time. No, this is really good. So I feel like we're gonna recap a little bit.
Okay.
This is what I've learned today.
Okay.
One, you can go through your insurance to get this thing paid.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can go through your insurance, why wouldn't you do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and as you said, it is kind of a no-brainer when you're feeling, if you had a sore throat, your nose is running, you're going to the doctor. So if you feel like you're waking up every morning and you're like in a funk, don't nobody at work want to deal with your funk. So get it together.
And your friends don't want to either. We love our friends, but you don't want to be a burden to your friends either.
No,
because your friends are busy. You know, so
and have their own stuff.
Right, and a lot of people hesitate to even talk to their friends or their loved ones because they know, oh, she's busy, I don't want to bother her.
Yep.
So, no, but okay, so let's talk about then the process of finding a therapist. And then I just want to, okay, yes, it's covered by insurance, but what about people who don't have insurance too? Are there like, you know, maybe some sort of community resources that they can find?
Absolutely. There's always some sort of program in the community for people who don't have insurance or some sort of sliding scale fee. You know, there are resources out there, right? So Psychology Today, for example, has a directory of providers where you can filter by what your insurance is or filter by if you don't have insurance or gender or, you know, it's okay to have certain preferences. What else? Therapy for Black girls, I think, is a good one if you're looking specifically for a therapist of color.
What is that?
It's they have an IG page, they have a website. It's basically a provider directory.
Okay.
So you can go on there and say if you are a Black girl or if you want to talk to a Black girl, you can go on there and locate someone.
Okay.
There are a lot of resources. Again, when you get to insurance, for example, like your insurance company will give you a list of providers
that they cover.
Yeah.
So I have come across BetterHelp.com, which I think is awesome because it's like a virtual balance coaching.
Right.
Virtual therapy. You can do it, you know, I think by the telephone or by Zoom or whatever your method of, you know, preferred communication is, and I think that's kind of good for people, kind of like me, who I don't like to leave the house.
Sure.
So for me, if it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to therapy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta leave the house and go sit in the room, blah 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 blah.
Right.
So I also think that's cool to find, if that's what works for you, look up online therapy.
Absolutely. Because of COVID, a lot of us are doing telehealth.
Okay.
A lot of us are doing virtual therapy, and I'm so glad this kind of came out, because obviously pandemic was not a good thing, but I think it also taught us we can do things in a different way, right? How many of us are now working remotely because it's like, oh, y'all can't work remote. Well, actually we can, right? Because we had to, so we kind of figured that out. But that's what we found when I started the company. We got so many referrals because it was just like, especially living in this area, by the time you get off the metro and get in your car and all this stuff, it's just like,
you're stressed out.
You're stressed out, right? But now it's like, okay, I work 9 to 5, you got the anxiety. I work 9 to 5. At 5:15, I can log on to my virtual therapist, right, in the comfort of my home.
Yeah.
So
are you doing telehealth?
I am doing telehealth.
Oh, that's nice.
So we're doing both.
Okay, so I think you should tell people where they if they say, I want to talk to Myrja Paul, because I heard her on Reasonably Shady.
Yes.
She sounds so balancing.
So balancing. Well, I will say this, because I am now a CEO and a clinical director and all that good stuff. Woo woo. Thank you.
Yes.
I don't want any more clients. However,
What's she saying? She's busy.
I'm a little busy now. I'm a little busy. However, I have an awesome team of therapists who work at my practice.
So how they find your team?
So we have an IG page at Soul Counseling, SOL Counseling. We have a website, and we can give you all that information. www.solcounselingandconsulting.com, which my sister, the DOO, aka Carly, aka Robyn's friend, aka whatever she is that particular day, she built the website. She built my website. So go on to Soul Counseling.
She didn't build a Reasonably Shady website.
I mean,
jeez, what's going on here?
Get yourself a sister like mine.
Okay. I do want to talk about, because this kind of blew me. I had a conversation with my kids, and my kids are high schoolers, so that they're in between that 14 to 17 age range, and they're like, yeah, Mom, everybody at school's in therapy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's a thing.
So apparently COVID, pandemic, last year, being at home, going to school, hit them all very, very hard.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that with these kids? And are they getting better now that they're back in school? Are they still feeling overwhelmed? And I felt like they were feeling isolated, because they didn't have, we found clearly that they need social outlet every day.
Right.
So what's going on with our teens?
I think it's like everyone, right? So you dealt with COVID, you have to adjust to that. Now we're dealing with things are opening up, we're back at work, some of us, we're back at school. So now we're dealing with adjusting to being back at school, right? So life is a constant adjustment, constant transition, which is also, shameless plug, why it's okay to go to therapy, because maybe you were okay 6 months ago and then something shifted and now it's like, I don't know how to deal with that. So I'm glad the teens are going. I'm glad they're opening up. I'm glad that, it's trending now. I'm glad with like athletes like Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka are talking about it.
Yeah.
Because they're young, and so it's just like, okay, if they're talking about it and they can do it, this is okay. It doesn't have to be shameful, right?
Yeah.
So
and I do want to say that, when listening to my kids talk about, their friends, whatever, I remember being that age and feeling occasionally like off or depressed or anxious, overwhelmed. Oh my God, I failed my test. All kinds of things that teens go through, hormones, all of that.
Yes.
And I dare not share that with my parents.
Right.
Like if I even thought to share that, they would either tell me to kick rocks, get over it, go to your room. You know what I mean? Like there was no way that I would feel comfortable sharing it with anybody. So to know that at least these kids feel comfortable talking about it, they have each other, they are all in it together, so to speak, is a great thing. So, and I think that we all have to be mindful that our brain, our mental stability, what we think, how we feel is not taboo. It's
Right.
not for you to keep to yourself. Like, we're all in this thing called life together.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And find a therapist that works for you, right? We're all not these stuffy people that are going to, you know, shake our finger at you. Like, there are a lot of really cool, down-to-earth, relatable therapists.
Yeah.
So it's nice that the kids have someone to go to that might be, you know, a cool, down-to-earth person. It's not always going to be some old, hard to, but old white men, right? Old white men are therapists. That's what you see on TV, for example, you know. So it's just like, no, there are some just really relatable, cool people that also have their stuff going on too, that can relate to you, but also have the training to deal with whatever you're coming in with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I love it. I definitely relate to you, Gizelle. I remember being a teenager and just being like mad for no reason.
Right.
You know, like, it's like just mad.
Tell them why you're mad.
Yeah. And I'd be like, why am I mad? Like, why am I feeling like this? And
Right.
it's like, no, like, it's just, it's hormones.
Yeah.
Really, it's hormones. It's the changing in your body and your mind.
Yeah.
And just so much going on. And so I think it is so important for parents to be in tune to that with their kids and not get so like, you know, thinking that there's something wrong with them, but realize like they're going through big changes in their life.
For them, it's a big change.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You don't get defensive. What's wrong with you?
Right.
We have everything you need. You have this house.
Right.
You know, you go to school.
Right. You're
Like, what else?
spoiled.
What else
Yeah.
do you need? It's like there are other things going on.
Yeah.
I fed you yesterday.
Right. Exactly.
Today.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's important. All right. Well, look. I mean, we could talk about this. I think for a whole another 45 minutes or so, but. This has been a great conversation. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to close with or add, or?
Just kind of going back to the misconceptions, I just also want to put out there that, going to therapy is not advice giving.
Yeah.
It's not like you come to me and then I say, Gizelle, this is what you should do. Now go ahead and do it. That's not really what it's about. It's about exploring what's going on, identifying patterns, helping you figure out what is going to be the best choice for you. And if you decide to do something that I don't necessarily agree with, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to walk you through it and I'm not going to judge you for it. And I'll be here tomorrow when you cry to say that, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
Now, can you prescribe medication?
So I'm glad you asked that. Everybody has a different, so a
psychiatrist.
psychiatrist.
Two differences.
A psychiatrist prescribes medication. They are actual medical doctors.
Okay.
Therapists do not prescribe medication. We do talk therapy.
Got it.
Most psychiatrists don't do therapy. You come in, you have a check-in. How are the meds working for you? You good? Any side effects? Good to see you. I'll see you in a month.
Got it. And I think that's so important for people to know the difference with that, because I think when they think therapy, mental health, they're thinking medication.
Right. Yeah. And it's all the same. We're two different people.
Okay. That's important. Great.
And this is my last little bone to pick with our people.
Okay.
Black people. We love our people. Okay, seriously, guys, like, we the worst, because we think that therapy is not for us. We're taught and we're built to be so strong, to get over it, to keep it moving, to not even deal with the day. You got to look for tomorrow. So, no, we got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that to ourselves. We got to stop doing that to our children. It is okay to take a time out and make sure that you get your mind right.
Yeah.
Grandma said get your mind right, and she really meant it. It's called therapy.
Yeah. I mean, because that behavior is self-sabotaging.
Yes.
It really is. To think I'm tough, I got this, I don't need, to talk to anyone, and I'm keep it moving, and you're just bottling up all of the emotions and the anxiety and the stress.
And not learning any tools of how to deal with it. It's okay that you have these feelings.
Yeah.
You are valid in that. But tell me how to deal with this. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope somebody listening, more than one person, has learned something and is motivated and encouraged to go to therapy. Seek out a therapist, a balance coach.
Yes.
And hopefully just I don't know, is it like getting clarity?
It is sometimes getting clarity. I'm so glad that you mentioned Black people, because no, that really is like what I said in my bio, right? It's about reducing that stigma and making it comfortable, and that's why I mentioned therapy for Black girls, for example, or my team, we're all of color, right? So it's like, if you want someone that looks like you, if you want someone that maybe has a little bit of understanding about your background, you can do that. If that's not for you, that's okay too. But let's have more therapists that look like us, and that way it makes it a little more comfortable, and that it's okay. You don't have to keep everything inside or everything in your house, or just feel like you can only talk about it with, your pastor. Shout out to the church, but there are other resources out there besides that.
All right.
Well, we love you and we thank you so much for stopping by. We've learned so much, not only about therapy and you, but about our DOO over there, our director of operations, because she has not done anything for us that she has done for you. But anyway, that's for a whole nother episode. This is our reasonably shady episode, and don't forget to live your life reasonable or shady.
Yes, or both.
Or both.